Hi, I'm Catherine Llewellyn, the host of the podcast. You can find out all about Truth and Transcendence on truthandtranscendence.com. And you can find out all about me on beingspace.world, where you will find my online coaching offering as well as my UK-based workshops. The Freedom of Spirit workshop for liberation and empowerment, the Pellower Radical Shift in Consciousness workshop for spiritual expansion, and transformational coaching for exploring the mind-body-spirit connection on the expansive path. You can also support the podcast by actually making a donation. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to Truth and Transcendence. You can find all our other episodes on truthandtranscendence.com. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Jam Alker, who's here today to talk about a number of things, but we're going to start off by talking about being in service, which happens to be a favorite theme of mine. I think it's a really important theme for us to explore. Now, Jam is a former rock star turned wellness visionary, entrepreneur, and the founder of HEAL, the Center for Wellness and Longevity, serving the Oak Park community just outside Chicago. Jam retired from a career touring as a rock musician in 2020 and now dedicates his time to helping people in pain get a second chance at health. As a public speaker, Jam has spoken on addiction and recovery with communities, healthcare providers, and corporations, including Google. Jam has been a guest on numerous broadcast and podcast outlets, including WGN Chicago, KGNU Denver, Resilient Radio Podcast, and the Addiction Podcast, and has been featured in Forbes, Voyage Chicago, and Recovery Today. You can connect with him on Facebook at Jam Alker 3. That's 111, Jam Alker 3. Or you can find him on healforwellness.com. And the heal is the 4 is the digit 4. So that's all a bit of a mouthful, quite a rich background. Jam, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Excellent. And I understand that you are in the middle of a very, very active period of time leading up to your soft launch, which will probably have happened by the time this airs. Would you like to just say something about the soft launch and this phase you're in at the moment leading up to it? Just give us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of, a day in the life of Jam Alker leading up to the soft launch.
Well, I first of all, thanks for having me. And a crazy portion of the build out process right now. We're just finishing construction. We're starting to get in some of the inventory, trying to get things sorted out like internet and fun things like that have been delayed, making sure the website is working properly, making sure all of the other really boring processes are up and working. And it's just checking a lot of boxes, filling out a lot of punch lists, and making sure to get things ready. As far as what my day looks like, I still have to make sure that I keep my wellness routine as part of things. So I get up early. I make sure I do 2 to 3 hour routine each morning to start my day to make sure that I can be my best and really give it my all so that we are here by the beginning of August. Soft launch date is August 8th. And we're looking forward to finally being able to really provide some healing services to the community here.
Fantastic. Well, as I said to you just before we started recording, you look fantastic. You don't look like someone who's completely frazzled. I'm a bit envious, you look better than I do, even on a good day. So obviously what you're doing is working.
I'm doing my best. I'm trying to keep it together.
Would you like to let us know 2 to 3 hour routine in the morning?
Yes.
Do you want to give us an idea of what that involves?
Absolutely. My day starts at 6. When I get up, I do 20 minutes of red light therapy in front of a red light panel, as well as a red light cap to make sure that I keep this nice little head of hair that I have going here. as well as I use a machine called a pulsetto, which is a vagus nerve stimulator. It's something you put on your neck, and it calms the vagus nerve, so it reduces your morning cortisol level, starts you with less stress in your day. After that 20 minutes, I get up and take a number of supplements, and I drink a bottle of hydrogen water and take some peptides and a few other things. When that is done, I go and I get into a magnesium Epsom salt bath for about 10 to 20 minutes to relax all of the muscles. Come out of that, do a shower that ends with a 5-minute cold shower. Then I go to the gym. I do 15 to 20 minutes of cardio, finish that with another about 20 to 30 minutes of flexibility and mobility training. Come back upstairs and do another 20-minute red light therapy session while I'm doing a 20-minute meditation. And by the time that's all said and done, between 2.5 and 3 hours has passed. And it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But if I don't do it, I just don't have as good of a day. I've tried to remove things from it, but it just doesn't work for me. This is what works for me and allows me to be the high performer that I need to be in order to accomplish all of the things that I've set out to accomplish in my life.
Amazing. That sounds like a beautiful routine, absolutely beautiful. And, you said it works for you. I'm a great believer in we need to actually cobble together our own morning routine, don't we? It needs to be the one that fits for us.
Absolutely.
There are some things you're doing there that I've never even heard of, let alone done. And there are some other things I do in the morning that other people don't do, so it's really great and good for you, honestly. And I'm sure that, so I'm going to, seamlessly switch over to our theme of being in service now. Do you feel that kind of practice and the other practices you do help you to actually be in service?
You can only pour from a cup that is full. Like if my cup isn't full, I can't provide the remaining abundance to others. If I want to be of service to anyone, I have to be able to be fully present. I have to have the energy. I have to have the love. I have to have the empathy. I have to have the ability to turn myself outwards towards others. And I can't do that if I haven't completely filled my own cup. So yes, without it, it's very difficult to be able to be of service the way that I want to be.
Yeah. And when was it that you really connected in with that being in service was a really important aspect of your motivation?
So it's about 10.5 years ago, I checked myself into a treatment center after a decade-long addiction. And when I went to treatment, I was a fully broken man. I'd come to the end, didn't feel like I had much to live for, except I did have a beautiful baby daughter that I wanted to continue on for. And so I surrendered and decided to do what those who had found recovery were doing. I shut up basically and decided to do what those who had what I want were doing. And those who had what I want were the people in recovery, and not just the people who were abstaining from drugs and alcohol, but the people that I wanted to emulate were the people who had found that satisfaction in life, that happiness in life, that contentment. And that's something that eluded me my entire first 40 years of my life. I just was never happy. I was never content. I had done so many things in my life that were what I think a lot of people would think were your dream comes true. I had been on marquees, I had made music, I had, signed autographs, I had done a lot of crazy things, but I still wasn't happy. I wasn't content. And then my addiction took over because I kept grasping the outside world, looking for something for that contentment. And I never found it. And when I went to treatment, the folks who had what I want told me that one of the critical components was to be of service to others, to give it away. And I saw that that's what they were doing. They were giving to me what was so freely given to them. And so I really started to do everything I could to be of service once I left treatment and got out into the real world. I was going to the 12-step meetings. I started chairing meetings. I started sponsoring guys. created a music program that I took back into treatment centers and showed others how music could help to heal them the way it had helped to heal me. When I began speaking, I was traveling around for free. I was just going wherever I could to speak to people to try to help, to show them, what had worked for me and hopefully could work for them. From there, I started a nonprofit that has provided music lessons to people who are early in recovery. And those are things that I guess, you can point to as things you can maybe kind of brag about, or you could check them off on a list if I did this, that, and the other. But it's really about just finding someone who needs help and helping them, wanting nothing in return. Like being of service to others, truly wanting nothing in return, has provided me with a happiness, with a contentment, with that peace inside that I've never been able to find grasping for my own stuff, for in the outside world, wanting this, wanting that, wanting autographs, wanting fans, wanting money, wanting success. Any of these things, those are all fleeting pleasures that go away. But the only thing that has ever truly made me happy is being of service to others. So it works. It is shown. You do a science experiment and you see what the results are, and if they work, you keep doing them. It works for me. Yeah. I know it can sound cliche. It can sound like, oh yeah, helping others, that sounds so nice, but what's in it for you? And nothing's in it for you. And that's what's so great about it. It works. It actually truly works. So that's why I do it. That's why I continue to do it. And that's why I will never stop doing it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I think most of us have heard the idea that being in service is satisfying and fulfilling. I think most people, if we ask them, is being of service satisfying? I think most people would say yes. But I don't think that means that everyone actually does it or has actually experienced the truth of that. So, I'm curious, when you heard people saying, right, being of service is the way.
Yeah.
Did you immediately get it and think, oh God, they're right, I'm immediately going to do it? Or was there part of you that was sort of, okay, that sounds good in theory, maybe I'll give it a try and discover later if it works for me? What was that like for you, that transition?
No, I was all in. When I left treatment, I was desperate for this new life. I was desperate for happiness. I was desperate to find a way to truly be engaged in life and happy in life. And I surrendered fully and did whatever they told me to do. They told me to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. I did it. They told me to be of service. I did it. They told me to figure out some sort of a way to have your own spiritual experience, your own spiritual connection, whatever it means to you. And I did it. I did whatever I was told, and it worked. All of the things that they told me to do, I started to do, and every one of them worked. And so I kept doing them.
So that sounds like you were in a very ripe place for it. I think we all encounter these ideas in different places, don't we? Of how ripe and ready and open we are for it, to actually embrace it and go with it. It sounds like the timing for you was perfect. Would you say that was true?
Yes, I've often said, I was blessed with the gift of desperation.
Yes.
Yeah. I was there. I was at the point where, I have my own set of childhood traumas that led to me dealing with or coming up with my own coping skills as a child, which are never going to be healthy coping skills that you create as yourself as a child. And those are the ones that I brought into my adulthood, and they were terrible. And I did not know how to cope with reality, with anxiety, with trauma, with, depression, with really just, dealing with life on life's terms. I really had no idea how to do it. And it led to lots and lots of unhealthy behaviors. And then, like I said, in my early 40s, I ended up having a beautiful baby daughter and a horrible addiction and an inability to cope with life on life's terms. And it was either I was going to die soon or I was going to change my life around. And when you're in that place, you got to make some real serious decisions. And I didn't want to die, and I wanted to be there for my daughter. So I decided in that time that I was going to do whatever it took. And I dug in, and yes, you have to be ready. If you're not ready, You can talk to a person, you can plant seeds, but until they're 100% ready to make the choice themselves, to make the commitment themselves, you can only show the path. You can't walk it for them. And I fortunately got to the point where I was 100% ready. And once I was 100% ready, there was nothing that was going to stop me.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. And I think it's great the way you brought music back in with helping other people when you were sponsoring people and helping other people with addiction. Was that a beautiful thing to bring music back in? Or because sometimes when people step away from one way of life, sometimes they don't want to bring any of it back into their life because it's triggering for them. And sometimes they can bring some of it back in. How was that for you?
Well, for the last several years of my addiction, I didn't pick up the guitar. I didn't sing. I didn't write. It was just kind of sitting, collecting dust. But when I went to treatment, I brought my guitar with me thinking it might just help me pass the time. I'd maybe play a few cover songs, but something really miraculous happened. My counselor, God bless her, Nanette, thinking outside the box, he suggested that I use music as a part of my treatment process. And I began writing again. And rather than just doing standard treatment work where you fill out a notebook, with the different questions they ask you, instead I started to write songs about all those experiences in my addiction and what I was feeling in my early recovery. And it truly changed my life. It completely changed the entire trajectory of my life. I started to really learn new ways to heal from the traumas of my past through writing about it with music. And while doing that, I noticed that it was a way to connect with the other people in the unit. And so I saw that this was something I could really do to help others. So shortly after I left treatment, I created a curriculum that I brought back into treatment centers where I showed people how they could use poetry and metaphor and writing and songwriting as a way to work through a lot of the traumas that inevitably anybody is going through when they're in the recovery process. You've got to work through some rough things, the things in your past that you can feel some guilt, some shame, some remorse about. And so I showed people, you can write about it. It's sometimes hard to talk about these things directly, but, you might, example I'll use is, let's say maybe, God forbid, you were abused as a child. You sit down with a counselor, it might be hard to talk directly about the abuse that happened, but instead, let's write a song about a 5-year-old boy who was abused. Let's talk about that. Well, what would that kid have gone through? What might he have said? What might he have liked to have had happen instead? And it's a very sort of safe way to be able to touch on some of that stuff that if you were asked directly, ooh, no, I can't, but I could write about it. I could write a story about a child. It's not me, of course, but okay, well, what is that child going through? And it's a very easy way to be able to touch on some of those things and process some of those things that might be difficult to process otherwise. And so I felt that I had really kind of hit on something there and created the program and brought that into treatment centers and taught it to some other practitioners who've used it at different treatment centers around the country. It was a great experience and, another great way to be of service.
Yeah. And bringing in some of your previous experience and capability from before.
Yeah.
As well. I mean, Nanette sounds like an absolute keeper. She sounds like a genius.
Yes.
So I think, bringing in something that somebody loves already and that they're connected to. And also everything you talked about there gets us out of our head, doesn't it?
Yes.
We're always trying to solve our issues in our head, which of course we can't.
Mm-hmm. Nope. Yeah, I've said it a million times. The process of recovery doesn't happen in the head; it happens in the heart and the soul. This is where true recovery happens. You can't think your way out of it, and I know of no quicker way to get out of your head and to your heart and to your soul than music. There's just nothing that I know of that can take you there, transform you faster than music.
Yeah. So this addiction program, this curriculum you called it that you've created.
Yes.
You've been doing it, taking it into places locally. Are you now making that available more widely?
No, and I haven't done it for a while since COVID happened. I kind of, shut down the performing and the speaking and all those kind of things. Before that, I was doing it in treatment centers all around the country. I had trained a few practitioners on how to do it. Whether or not they still are, I don't think so. If you're not continuing to keep up with it, it's hard to keep folks continuing to do it. Something I might bring back in the future, but I do a lot of things, and I do it, and then I've got something else to do and something else to do, and it's not at the tip of the spear right now. So maybe someday I'll get back to it, but right now I'm focused on other forms of recovery and wellness.
Yeah, fantastic. No, I totally get that. You can't do everything. I've had so many times in my life where people go, "Hey, you could do this, you could do this." And I go, "Yeah, that'd be fantastic. If I cancel the rest of my life,
Exactly.
and are you going to fund it?" Which means the answer is no.
Yeah.
Well, I will just say that I think that is a really genius thing to bring in. And if it's not already happening in the UK, I feel like that would be a wonderful thing to be happening in the UK. So if the time ever happens in the future, where you feel inclined, or you have the opportunity to spread it even further than the United States, the UK would be very fertile for that, I think, and it'd be very helpful because we are really bad at in terms of trying to fix our issues in our head over here.
Oh, I was born in England.
Were you?
Upper lip, we know. We do not talk about our problems.
Oh my God, that's
No,
very good.
no, of course not. Stiff upper lip, old chap. Carry on. You calm, carry on.
Very good, very good.
Yes, thank you.
How many years did you spend in the UK?
I was born there, and my family immigrated to the States when I was 3, and unfortunately, I've never been back. I'm planning on going back next year, doing some traveling to Europe once the center's up and running. But
yeah,
I have not been back. And as far as what you're saying about the program, it's a curriculum that exists. It's based off of music from my first album that is available on Spotify. So the curriculum's there, the music's there. If there are ever any therapists or practitioners out there who would be interested in learning more about it, I would certainly be open to sharing it with them. They can find me at my website, which is jamalker.com, JAMALKER.com. Reach out. I'd be more than happy to share it with anybody.
Fantastic. I think that's just brilliant. I love these cross connections that can happen.
Sure.
That's brilliant. Love it. So how did this then move on and have you becoming a wellness practitioner? What happened that had that happen?
It is interesting how life works. So after treatment, and I began writing again, I wrote an album worth of music. I released it. It took off. That was great. The next couple of years, I began speaking at different recovery type events around the country. I put together a band, made another album, got a deal with Sony, recorded that album in 2019. Was released February 4th, I think, of 2020. We started a national tour that day, toured the entire country in support of the album. Got back the beginning of March. We're going to be headed off to Europe for a tour in the summer. And about 2 weeks later, COVID shut the world down, and the world changed for everyone. And so I had to put all the speaking and the performing on the back burner, and eventually ended up retiring from it. But after a few months into COVID, I ate something that gave me a horrible bacterial infection in my gut, colitis, which was just horrible bacterial infection in my colon. If you remember the beginning of COVID, it was a bad idea to go to a hospital. Everybody was in a hazmat suit with, six masks on their face. People were dying left and right. You didn't go to the hospital unless it was an absolute emergency. I thought I had food poisoning, writhed around in bed for 6 horrible days. It didn't go away. Finally went to an urgent care. They said, get to the hospital right now. This is not normal. I went to the emergency room. They kept me overnight, diagnosed me with colitis, which we know now was sort of the catalyst that just took me over the edge. I had a bunch of other gut dysbiosis, a bunch of other inflammation that was growing in my body. All sorts of other things were happening, and this is what just tipped me over the scale. I didn't have any idea the seriousness of it at the time. They put me on an antibiotic, which even, further disrupted my gut biome and the probiotics that live in the gut. I left the hospital unaware of the consequences. And within a month or so, I kind of started falling apart. I didn't connect the two. 6 months earlier, I'm jumping around on stage. All of a sudden, I pull the muscle in my Achilles. I do some physical therapy. They put me in a boot. I have to walk in a boot for a week. That gives me a huge inflammation in my hip from the way I'm walking. I'm trying to keep in shape, work out. All of a sudden, my shoulders, I can't, inflammation keeps hitting in different ways. Injuries keep hitting in different ways. And before long, maybe 6 months in, I'm walking around like an 80-year-old man, just hobbling, chronic pain, chronic inflammation. Went the standard, allopathic Western medicine route, and they couldn't really help me. And that's not a lot of people who are into holistic wellness will speak badly about Western holistic or allopathic medicine, and I don't mean to do that. If you have a heart attack, go to the hospital. If you have a car accident, a broken bone, absolutely. But it's just not set up to handle chronic pain and chronic inflammation. The system is set up to manage your symptoms, to fix a broken bone, to give you a prescription, and then you get better from that. But with chronic issues, it doesn't do that. So they're just masking the symptoms over time. And it wasn't working for me. They wanted to put me on prescription medications, put me on steroids, or even worse, was telling me that I'm just getting old. And I was not willing to accept that. 6 months earlier, in my late 40s, I'm running around the country on a stage. That's just not acceptable to me. So I started to study more holistic, natural healing methodologies. And I went to a nutritionist who told me I had to stop eating all the things I loved, and I didn't want to hear it. But over time, I started an elimination diet, and the inflammation started to reduce to some degree. What it turned out is that the colitis had caused leaky gut syndrome. It had completely messed up my entire gut biome. Later on, I took tests to find out that I also had a mold infection. I had parasites. I had high levels of yeast. This massive gut dysbiosis. But this had caused a leaky gut, which was allowing large particles of food to get out into my system, larger than my body could absorb. That creates a red alert with your immune system, causes massive amounts of inflammation throughout your body. And that is where the healing needed to happen, not through steroids, not through prescriptions, any of those other things. So I had to heal my gut. So I went on an elimination diet. I started to take a lot of different supplements that would help me to detox all of these things out of my system, as well as repair my gut and, build my minerals, build my vitamins, my nutrients that I was not eating properly. I removed all sugar from my diet, all seed oils. I went to a completely natural, high nutrient dense diet. And all of these things were helping, maybe reduced my inflammation by about 50%, but I was still walking around in a lot of pain. So I went to a functional medicine doctor, had a bunch of testing done, urine, blood, feces, and we found out that the gut dysbiosis had caused issues with my immune system. It attacked my thyroid. We needed to work on a number of different things at once. So I started a protocol that included infrared sauna. It included cold plunge, all of the different supplements, and I started doing more on a different detox protocol. I began red light therapy, which has been a huge game changer, but then also other certain types of red light that are a little more complicated to explain. I don't want to get into it right now. And then hyperbaric oxygen. I did all of these things, and I did these protocols in a cycle a few times. And by the end of it, I was better. I felt like all of my inflammation was gone. All of the chronic pain was gone. And I felt, and I feel now in my mid 50s like I did in my 30s. I feel better than I have since before my addiction took hold of me. It's truly a miracle what has happened, and it's happened as a result of completely holistic, non-traditional treatments, things that are available to all of us. And it helped me so much that my natural my natural go-to is now is if something is helping me, I want to see if I can help others, like share this message of what is working. And so I started to communicate to others through I have a pretty decent social media following. So I started to talk more about health and wellness, and people were responding to it. But the other thing that was frustrating is all of these things that had helped me: infrared sauna, cold plunge, red light therapies, PMF, hyperbaric oxygen, all of these things, none of them were available in my community. And I live in a very nice community, but I had to either drive to downtown Chicago or out, 30 minutes, 45 minutes in the suburbs to some of the very rich areas to get these treatments. It didn't exist in Oak Park, River Forest, Forest Park community where I live. And, being an entrepreneur, I thought, man, is this something that I should do? And the more I researched it, the more I saw that it could be a very lucrative business. And it was very much of like a spiritual experience, honestly. The process of deciding whether or not I should open this, I really opened myself up to receive from the universe signs. And man, everywhere I turned, a door opened, another door opened, that this was the right thing to do. And so many, bits of synchronicity came together, and the law of attraction brought one more thing, and opening up to the abundance of the experience, more people came into my life, practitioners, a manager, a person to help me with the social media. I found a building with a guy who was like, I would die for you to do this in my building. I would love for you to have it here. I took it into a community where the guy who runs the building department was like, please do this here. I will lay out the red carpet to make sure you get your permits and whatever else you need as quickly as possible. I need red light. He's a biohacker just like me. I need infrared sauna. I need cold plunge. Please come and do this. So it was like, I had to do it. And, about 4 months ago, we started the promotions. I started to sign up people to come in for a free session, which is the thing that starts on August 8th. To this point, we've had over 800 people register for a free session, of which we've had over 250 people actually sign up now and schedule their free sessions. The turnout, the response from the community has been unbelievable. I'm the wellness guy around town now, which is fun. And it's just been a miraculous, beautiful, very stressful, but very, very rewarding experience that got me to this point. So that's the long answer as to how I got here.
Amazing. Well, I'm very impressed with what you've done. I mean, you've been through some very difficult times, and you've had this will within you that hasn't lain down and died. I mean, there's several different points in that whole life story you've told us so far when you could really argue it'd be perfectly reasonable for you to just give up, right? And you just haven't. You've just kept going, but you haven't just pushed harder. You've been intelligent about seeking out the right thing to do next that's going to help you on your path. So it's really, really inspiring, Jam. Honestly, I'm absolutely blown away by your whole story. Are you blown away by your own story?
Yeah, sometimes I have to laugh a little about how wild the story is, but it's just the way that I am. I think sometimes when people bring it up, like I tell the story and you respond like this, it is like, wow, that is pretty crazy, but it's just the way, it's like the insanity of how this brain works. It's just, there's this as well as, the pain and the torture of the addiction and the other things that have gone along with it. But it's just naturally the way that I operate. I'm here to squeeze every ounce of juice out of this life that I can. And recovery was a profound experience for me. It taught me how to live a really intelligent, intentional life with purpose. And since then, since I've been following those principles, just miracles have unfolded in my life. So I have no plan on stopping.
Yeah, amazing. So you're opening this amazing center. So anyone who can get to your center obviously has the option to come and try that out. You've said already that if there are practitioners who are interested in that beautiful music-based curriculum, they can contact you and you'll give them some input to help them with that. Are there other ways that people can access what you're doing or receive support from you?
Yeah, so honestly, the best thing to do is just go to jamalker.com. You can reach out to me directly there via email. All of the links to my social media, as well as my music through Spotify. It's easiest rather than rolling through all the different handles on the different social media and whatnot. Just go to jamalker.com and you can reach out to me a million different ways from that site.
Fantastic. Excellent. So I'm going to ask you a slightly different angle question. So I like to think there are a lot of people in the world at the moment who are trying to be in service and trying to be part of the solution in this interesting, crazy, unpredictable world that we're in at the moment. And some of those people are probably listening to this conversation. Is there something you'd like to say to them that would be helpful for them, you think, in terms of really engaging with following that path of being in service?
Yeah. And I've done it a bunch of times when I've sponsored people or when people have come up to me after speaking events where we've talked about being of service. And asked me about it. What I suggest is for you to just think about the things that make you happy and how you could uh, share those things with others. So, do you like babies? Do you go to the hospital and there are children who are abandoned, or the children of women with addiction problems who are just they need people to come there and hold babies. If that's something that resonates with you, do that. If you love animals, go in and volunteer at a vet or at an animal cruelty society, or think about the things that you love, and there are ways to be of service. And if you can't think of it these days, geez, you go to AI and ask it, hey, I love to do this. What are some ways to be of service? And it's going to give you the answers, or you're going to find them yourself. You're going to figure out a couple of things that resonate with you, and that's going to be great. But it doesn't matter unless you go and do it. That is, you have your list, you'll have your things, then go and do it. Stop thinking, listen to Jam right now, get your list and go and do it. Stop thinking about it, go and do it, and watch the miracles happen.
Thank you. Message received and understood. So
Yeah.
it's not enough just to think in service thoughts inside your own mind and just be really spiritual in your own head. You have to actually go and take action.
Yeah, like thought without action is nothing. I won't say that term. You're playing with yourself. We'll say it that way. Way too much thinking, not enough doing. Just go out and do it. If you want to know like the key to my success, and if you talk to you know any other high producer, high performer out there, the people that I follow on podcasts, the people who inspire me, they're going to say the same thing. Too many people sit home in fear. Oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? Shut up, just go do it. Just do it. You're going to feel worse at the end of your life sitting back the things you didn't do than the things you did do and maybe didn't succeed at. You'll learn. You'll fail moving forward until you find the thing that works for you. Is not a secret. I'm not the first. I'm not, telling secrets here. I'm not the first one to say it. You got to just go out and do it.
Wise words. So, Jam, talked about a lot today, and it's been fascinating, and I could happily talk to you for hours. Has there been a favorite part of our conversation for you today?
The favorite part of the conversation for me is just listening to your incredibly soothing British accent. You remind me a bit of my me mum. That has been my favorite part, is just to hear. I miss it. I don't get enough time. My auntie Susie is coming to visit in a couple of weeks, and she's been here for many years and still has a touch of the accent. But yeah, I miss it, and that's just being able to speak to someone from the old country. That's been my favorite part.
Fantastic. Well, that was easy on my part. Brilliant.
Yeah, how easy is that? Just speak. You just got to speak.
Yeah, I can do that. Try stopping me.
You do it quite well. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, sir. Now, one final thing. Would you like to give the listeners a question to take away for themselves, to reflect on, to contemplate, that might help them engage more fully with some of what we've been talking about today?
If you're not following your purpose and your passion, what the hell are you doing with your life? That's it. And if you don't know what it is, find it. Find something that you feel passionate about. Find something that gives you purpose and do it. And that's my question. If you haven't found it, why? If you have found it and you're not doing it, why?
Brilliant. I think that question actually could be reflected on for more than a week, but I think we'll start with a week. Thank you so much, Jam. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been fantastic spending this time with you.
Thank you. So thank you, everyone, viewers and listeners. That's all for Truth and Transcendence for today. You can find our other episodes on truthandtranscendence.com. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again to Jam. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. It really helps if you give a thumbs up, a 5-star rating, a review, and share with your friends. If you're looking for transformational coaching or an intensive transformational weekend workshop experience, I can help with that. You can actually help the show by making a donation. Until next time, take care.